Miranda Report, Season 1, Episode 8.
Incidentally, good morning everybody, or good afternoon, whichever way you look at it. How many episodes are we actually doing in a season? Is it going to be sort of like Friends?
30.
30? Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. So, what have you been up to then the last few days before we get into the depth of it today?
Bit of work my end, nothing too exciting, following the war.
Right.
Pretty much, and I think that's it.
Nothing, that's it. No
That's
pancakes, because it was
Yeah.
Tuesday yesterday.
Finally, we got the date right.
Oh, fantastic.
So we had pancakes.
Did another load on
Tuesday.
Have another 30?
Well, no, I still got the batter in the fridge, but yeah.
Right, okay.
But yes, happy Pancake Day.
And I understand.
Did you do pancakes?
No. Funnily enough, I actually forgot. Although I'm not great big on pancakes, because obviously if I eat a lot of pancakes, it'll be me that gets big. So, and I understand you're going to do a course on making croissants.
That's private.
Oh, that's all right. It's secret.
Okay, well, apparently not. So tomorrow I'll be going on.
So you're going on doing a bit of cooking.
Tomorrow I'm going to Bread Ahead.
Bread Ahead.
If you've ever heard of that.
No, I've never heard of it.
It's a really good bakery, and I'll be learning how to make croissant.
Fantastic. A pastry, isn't it? Really, essentially a croissant. I mean, I like them.
Viennoiserie. If you're going to be.
Viennoiserie. Woo! A bit like, but it's a sort of like a flaky pastry, surely. Isn't it?
Do you not know what a croissant is?
Well, no, I've eaten plenty, but they
right.
kind of look flaky. Anything that's flaky pastry-wise, I've tended to avoid cooking-wise, just so it doesn't end up like a wet book.
Yeah, it's possible to do it, yeah. Easy to make mistakes with croissant.
It is.
Which is why I'm going to go learn a course, because I've done it a few times, and the taste is fine, but the consistency isn't quite what I want.
Gotcha. Good for holding doors open.
No, not brick-like. But you need the layering. And it's difficult to get the layering right unless you've got the machine.
Gotcha. And you got to get
the lamination.
You got to get that look.
The lamination machine.
Yes.
If you don't have a lamination machine, which drives the dough through the.
I've got a laminator in the cupboard, but I guess that's not quite the same thing. That's for paper.
Yeah.
Well, before we start, because of course today we're going to be discussing the royals, but amongst other things. But I wanted to start with an apology to Liz Truss, of course, because we failed to throw her under the bus.
Yeah, we never apologise for Liz Truss.
Well, she's bless her. Funnily enough, talking of Liz Truss, I did see a picture, although I know it might be quite old, but one of those awful photo ops. Yeah, and this one, she was on the deck of an aircraft carrier, dressed up in full regalia, the whole helmet with the visor and
Top Gun
else,
like, yeah.
looking like Tom Cruise. Well, not looking like Tom Cruise, but trying to sort of give that sort of air of being a fighter pilot, bomber pilot, whatever.
We have to say this was like 4 or 5 years ago.
It could well have been, but I hate those damn photo ops. And
didn't Boris have the same sort of thing when he was on a fighter jet? He was in a cockpit, yeah.
You had Heseltine in a tank donkeys years ago. They always do it.
Especially on the aircraft carrier, saying that we won.
Yeah. But yes, exactly. After 3 days, and of course.
And he had his leather bomber jacket on.
Yeah. Oh God, it grieves me seeing those photographs.
But anyway, let's talk.
The worst, of course, being Boris on the zip wire. And of course, nothing really can make Liz Truss look good, except distance.
But because of Liz Truss, Russian nuclear weapons are now pointed at London. So, thank you so much.
I did mention this in a previous thing that any meeting with Liz Truss and would be forgiven.
Signifies Armageddon, apparently.
Oh Christ!
Literally, the comments that she made. The Russian foreign minister said essentially that it's because of her aggressive words that we are now a nuclear target. So,
oh Jesus!
So if we all die, it's Truss's fault.
It's Truss's fault. She's gone to Lithuania, I think. Please stay.
Because she doesn't want to get vaporized.
Yeah.
So she's running away.
But
We get to stay here and die.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It is worth saying, what's happening in Ukraine at the moment before we move on to our the main subject today is horrific. It grieves me to watch it. And I do think Putin has a terrible amount to answer for. Not least. I mean, what's happened to his? I've noticed his face has changed over the course of the last couple of years. He's developed this sort of grandma-like appearance. He's gone rounder and rounder and rounder, and he does seem to me to be a little on the deranged side. Sort of 2 sandwiches short of a picnic.
Well, you and I greatly disagree on this, don't we?
I think he's...
I understand the reasonings behind it.
You don't think he's a few French fries short of a Happy Meal?
I don't. I think, obviously, this has been planned for years. I think he has a plan. I understand, again, you and I have argued about this over the past few days.
Vehemently.
It's one thing that
I can't stand the bloke.
It's one thing that we disagree on
I think,
wholeheartedly, but while I agree war is wrong, obviously we can't say otherwise. I understand the logic and the reasonings behind it, and I think that we as the West have essentially created the environment for this to happen.
Well, we said this before, but at the end of the day, I find no excuse for bloodshed. Being an avid pacifist. And but I do think he's a bit deranged. Although nothing that a bit of Prozac and a polo mallet wouldn't sort out.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell, of course. So to all the people of Ukraine, we're with you because it is terrible. It's the consequence of politicians' actions, and it's us, the people, that always end up suffering for somebody else's. Decisions. Before we leave that subject, I noticed obviously as part of the sanctions, I noticed that Compare the Market have lifted the meerkat adverts. The poor meerkats have because of course they used to say Compare the Market. I can't do a Russian accent.
Well, maybe they're Ukrainian.
Meerkats. Well, of course, yes. Who's to say they were?
What makes you think they're Russian?
Well, why pull the adverts then? Meerkats are from Africa. They're not from Russia. No, Sergei.
Okay. Sergei could also be Ukrainian.
Yes, you're right. But it seems to me going a bit far, doesn't it? It's only a bundle of stuffed toys.
Well, essentially everything Russia has become, it's like a derisory term now, anything to do with Russia.
Which is a shame, because at the end of the day, the Russian people will end up suffering for all of this. The ordinary, decent Russian people who are probably already fed up to the back teeth of the way things carry on,
anyway. And you keep on talking about, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but now we're sort of, now we're behaving in a sort of xenophobic manner against the Russian people.
Unfortunately, human nature, isn't it? It's dreadful, and I know.
But this is the route we're going to go down. We're going to go down.
Ordinary people get abused just for sometimes even mistaking an accent that they might be Russian, or the same thing happened, of course, with over the virus.
At what point do we get? But at what point do we?
Some people in the South Asian community were being abused because the virus was supposed to come from China.
Because China released a biological weapon.
Rubbish, mate. Nonsense.
Because China released a biological weapon
bullshit.
that has killed millions of people.
No, nonsense, mate. Nonsense.
Chinese flu.
Bugs. They always look to go. Of course, the famous one in conspiracies. We'll leave that for another day because we're going to actually discuss the whole concept of that in an episode by itself. Anyway, today we're going to discuss. The teeth are going again. discussing the whys and wherefores of the royal family, of course. First off, we want to wish Her Majesty, I hope she's feeling a lot better from her recent bout of COVID and making a good recovery. I do like our Queen, but I can't imagine the disappointment she must feel regarding some members of her own family, not least her own offspring. The two of her sons
And
in
grandchild.
particular. Well, I don't beg to differ on that one. I quite like Harry. I'm sure some,
But his wife's a wrong 'un, isn't she?
No, I like Meghan. No, don't be throwing Meghan under the bus.
Let's throw Meghan under
You
the
know,
bus.
it doesn't. I don't blame her for feeling
Money grubbing social climber.
Oh, you can't
Hater.
say that. No. I
Yeah.
love her. You'll end up like flaming Piers Morgan. Yeah. You'll be off the couch. Anyway, with all that's been going on, obviously, over the last couple of years, and I'm sure once again, as with to paraphrase the Queen's own line from many years ago, bit of an annus horribilis. And we're not talking about the Duchess of Cornwall's bottom here. We're talking about the fact that
That's
she's
terrible.
having a terrible
That's terrible.
she's having a terrible time. I mean, Andrew. Let's start talking with Andrew and this thing with Geoffrey. I know he's paid off, so we have to be careful because obviously nothing has been proved.
Yeah, legally speaking, he's done absolutely nothing wrong.
Legally speaking, he's done nothing wrong. Obviously, there's business with the photograph, which he claims was faked, and the fact that he wasn't where he said he was. He was in Pizza Express in Woking, I think. Who probably have
Or
never been busy.
or any other pizza outlet available
Or
in the
rather,
UK.
any other pizza outlet. He actually did pick a good brand. I mean, of all sorts of.
Yeah, dough balls are really good.
Sorry.
Garlic dough balls. If
Oh,
you've
I've
ever
had their garlic
Yeah.
dough balls. Yes, I'm quite fond of dough balls. Yes, we need to be careful there.
Better
So
that
go down
than better dough balls than rape.
There is no question that of any wrongdoing with Andrew. It's fair to say, but the whole thing he's handled it badly. I mean, that BBC interview, that was messy to the extreme.
It was
I mean, how do you
uncomfortable,
explain a friendship that you're continuing on with somebody after they have been tried and convicted of sex trafficking or as he had already a conviction, Epstein. How do you explain that and the damage it's done? I mean, it's lasted and gone on for a length of time, and notwithstanding then claiming that he went to New York afterwards to end the friendship with Epstein and then stayed in his flat for 4 days. I mean, that kind of beggars belief.
But let's
doesn't it?
not forget that Epstein was used as a gateway to some of the high flyers in the US and other parts of the world. I mean, he was used essentially as an intermediary to do business on a mass scale.
Yes.
And
Which
Prince
is why,
Andrew,
I guess,
but Prince Andrew, members of sort of the US government,
which is, I guess, why
big-
Clinton's name got wrapped up in it.
big financial,
Although, again, there's no...
big financial players were using his as an intermediary
Yeah.
to broker deals.
Yes.
And ultimately Prince Andrew clearly, has a certain lifestyle, and he was using Epstein, to full effect to try and broker deals between the UK and other interests.
Handy, eh? Yes.
Now, all of the other side regarding sort of the trafficking of underage girls and all the rest of it is an abhorrence to say the least. But it seems like there's a pattern, amongst certain elements of the political world that sort of, there's
sexual proclivities.
There's
a word for the day, isn't it? Proclivities.
There's a strange underbelly of either, child trafficking, child abuse.
Yes.
There is something very unusual going on that's kept out of the limelight, but occasionally rises to the surface.
When you know that this...
Savile being the biggest case that we know of.
Oh my word.
And how many people are implicated in that?
How is it that he managed to... It wasn't until after his death that it really all became public,
That sort of...
how was it? All those years he was on Saturday night TV doing Jim will finger it. Jim will fix it. Honestly, how could they have got away with it for so long? It's worth pointing out that obviously with Epstein's connections, before we go back to the royal family again, that there is no accusation or no thing of guilt. No placed on
no presumption of guilt.
For the likes of people like Bill Clinton. Let's be fair about that. Although he has had a little bit of a brush in the past. A brush. Monica Lewinsky could have done with a stiff brush afterwards. God knows why she didn't send the dress to the dry cleaners. It beggars belief, but there you go. Probably kept it as a trophy.
Or evidence.
And let's be about right, his aim wasn't very good. But anyway... do you think that with all of this going on now, Prince Charles, with possibly being, there was a whiff that he might be questioned by the police because of this cash for honours thing, Andrew, Harry, in a way leaving the whole institution and buggering off to the States. Do you think that the royal family, the whole institution now is in a state of such disrepair that it might be very difficult to come back from this? That the only thing that's been holding it together in recent time is Her Majesty.
Because the royal family is untouchable. The royal family is untouchable.
Right.
There will never be a criminal case or proceeding against the royal family. There will always be a way, somewhere, somehow, to absolve them of any kind of, association of guilt.
What about the viewpoint of the public must take a massively dim view now of, But let's be about right. Let's be fair to them.
If politicians...
They're only like another family, aren't they? With all the skeletons and all the problems that many families, the vast majority of families across Britain have a skeleton in the cupboard somewhere. So I suppose what it just shows us, they're no different to everybody else.
Really? But you couldn't do any of the things that they do and get away with it. You'd be in jail.
Well, absolutely, and quite rightly.
Right, so they're not like any other family then, are they?
Well, yeah, they just get to get away with it.
Yeah, they are essentially all powerful. If you think that politicians care about us, you'd be greatly mistaken. If you think the monarchy truly cares about us as its people, we are subjects essentially, they don't really care about us either. Well, so I think the way they behave, they feel that they can do things without impunity.
The thing with Ukraine shows us that.
What do you mean?
Well, at the end of the day, the politicians here, with all the sanctions and everything else, which I agree need to be done. But what provision is made? It's us, the people, that are sucking it up. Once again, Rishi, get off your hands. Let's have a bit of the VAT off the energy bills. Start doing something that is going to make because now we're going to see wheat prices go through the roof, probably even cooking a batch of chips, because I think Ukraine was the 4th largest producer of sunflower oil in the world. So you see, I did read the information that you sent over, the stats. There you go. There's one to pick out. So do you not really think that that the royal family is beyond repair? Do you think the people of the country will be able to forgive everything that has, because it's been such one after another issue?
Does it matter? Does it matter what we really think? Ultimately.
Well, I do believe it does. I do believe it does matter.
So if we find ourselves in a situation where they conduct a nationwide poll, and it's shown that sort of people want sort of the end of the monarchy, do you think that the monarchy will then stand up and say, okay, yeah, you're right, we're not liked anymore, therefore we'll just sort of disappear into the ether, or will they just keep on with the status quo?
I'm not suggesting that necessarily that happens, but I certainly, for my own part, I'm not anti-royalist, but at the same time, I think it's time to look at it as a complete institution to see whether it needs pared down. Do you think they are, after all, only glorified ribbon cutters and cake slices.
Do you think Charles should be king?
I think there's some major questions over that. I was going to ask you, do you think Duchess of Cornwall should be Queen Consort? I mean,
but this is my point.
It's the same kind of question.
Most people don't particularly like Charles and don't like the idea of him being king. Most people don't like Camilla either, because of the whole association with Diana and everything that went down there. However, it doesn't matter what we say, Charles will be king, Camilla will be Queen Consort, and the status quo will continue.
I do get the impression that the Queen's hanging. I mean, bless her. I mean, she's hanging in there, isn't she? How old is she now? 95?
92.
Was she only 92? I thought she was 95.
It's because she drinks baby's blood. That's a lie. That's not true. If you believe in conspiracy theories,
no, I don't.
The royal families around the world.
Yeah,
they.
I know she's a bit fond of Tupperware.
What's that got to do with it?
Well, I'm just putting it out there. She's a bit fond of Tupperware.
We should
have to put all those slices of cake somewhere.
We should do an episode on conspiracy theories.
Yes, we're going to.
Especially relating to the royal family and whether or not they're lizard people. Because if you,
this entire the Queen,
if you've ever listened to anything from David Icke.
Oh, good God, no, not. Oh my!
I love
God.
him.
No. Oh, if there was
David Icke, if you're listening, please come on the show.
David Icke, if you're listening, please go to Donetsk or Luhansk. We don't want your comments, frankly.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't. No. He's not helpful. He should have stuck to being wasn't he a sports presenter at one point?
Well, he was actually a footballer. He was a goalkeeper, but then he developed. What's the arthritis that you develop at a young age? Not rheumatoid. Osteoarthritis. He developed osteoarthritis.
Right. In the brain, by all accounts.
Don't be mean.
Don't be mean. Oh.
And then he ended up a sportscaster at BBC.
Yes.
And then because of his comments, regarding sort of aliens and lizard people and conspiracy theories.
Aliens and lizard. Oh my God! Honestly.
Well, it can't be disproved. It might sound ridiculous, but it can't be disproved.
Half the things that people come out with it sometimes very but common sense needs to prevail sometimes. When you only have to look at it and go, no, that's just nonsense, utter nonsense. Yeah, but anyway,
until you see it for yourself,
we're going off at a mighty big tangent here. We can come back to David Icke later if we have time. Your
idea of pairing this this episode down to 30 minutes isn't going to happen.
Well, probably not, but as long as it's entertaining, who gives a toss? Do we not? So we've established obviously whether it stays or not. Do you think it's an outdated institution? Do you think it belongs in the 21st century, or do you think actually it's one of those things that keeps our kind of, as a country, that sense of
royalty,
history,
royalty
and intact?
No, hold on a second. Royalty shouldn't have existed in any context whatsoever. It's a power play against ordinary people. You know, from whenever. Does anyone actually know when royalty actually began? Like,
That's a good point.
Who was the first royal? Who decided? Someone had to decide at some point, I'm going to be king.
I'm going to call myself a king.
I'm going to be a king, and
if
I'm
you
going
don't
to
like it. Off with your
and I'm going to control.
Off with their heads.
Yeah, and I'm going to control everything and everyone. Who decided that? Who was the first person to say, I'm a king, this is how it is, if you don't like it, you die, and you do everything I say, and you pay me taxes for the pleasure of it?
Yes.
Who did that? Because I'd like to know. I have no idea. We should look that up.
Yeah, that's a very interesting history of the kings and queens of the world.
No, but who was first?
Oh, God knows.
And who decided?
That's a whole other episode.
Maybe we can decide to be king.
Well,
no,
I could be queen.
I'll be king. I'll be the king. But can you just arbitrarily say, I'm king of a territory? If you were to buy an island somewhere and stake your claim, this is my territory.
Yes.
I'm king of this island.
Go around with a crown
and a scepter and the whole thing.
And,
create a charter of whatever it is.
Yes.
Charter of laws.
Yeah. And,
I don't know. Number one, I don't.
If you're on an island by yourself, it's a bit useless, isn't it?
No, not really.
Well, there's only you to abide by the laws.
Yeah, but at least it's a title. It's a title that has privilege, right?
Well,
like maybe you can get like a diplomatic passport and go wherever you like.
Yes, yeah.
And break local laws because you can.
But the local laws which you've created.
Yeah, but this
on an island where there's nobody.
No. If you're a diplomat and you go to another country, you can break local laws.
Right. Okay. Yes,
I know.
Because
they don't apply to
diplomatic status.
Yeah. But so this is my point. So you have royalty wherever they are in the world.
Yes.
But it's not done by consent. Somehow we all just
playing with the microphone again, aren't you?
Yeah. That's not the point.
The point come out on the thing. Yeah, go on.
The point is that royals don't rule by consent. For some weird reason, by some strange logic, royalty exists and we simply accept.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's long gone that they have all powerful in this country.
Yeah, of course, not anymore. But they know that people won't tolerate it.
Yeah.
But
that's exactly my point. So, is it time to maybe pare down what we actually pay for because of all the kind of nonsense that we see? I mean, one of the questions I wanted to come to actually with regard to this recent furore over Andrew is that should it be made public where the settlement came from? Whether any of it was public money, private money, what should he have actually gone through the process of the court so we could have established whether he was guilty, innocent or otherwise.
Number one, he will never ever go to court.
No.
That's never going to happen. We will never ever know the source of his money.
No.
In theory, I think he was only supposed to be earning £300,000 per annum.
So if that bagatelle.
But if that's the case,
yeah,
where did he get 12 million from?
Well,
how did he buy his house in Switzerland?
This is where Mummy and Daddy come in, isn't it?
Where did that money come from?
Yeah,
because he was trying to sell that for, I forgot, 8 or 9 million.
Wow,
something like that. Where does that money come from?
Yeah.
what kind of weird deals has he been doing over the past decade or so? Where is this money coming from?
Well, they've always, they've always had lots, haven't they? I mean, they've never been short of a bob or two.
So did Prince Charles pay for Harry's mansion in California?
I don't. Well, the bank of mum and dad. We have the bank of mum and dad.
But it's our money.
They've got a big bank.
But that's our money.
Well, of course.
Is it not?
Yeah.
It's not privately held. It belongs to us, doesn't it? Essentially.
Yeah. And let's be about right. Half of the stuff, half the jewellery that the Queen's got come.
Yeah. It's not like but it's not like they're selling their
Gifted,
assets.
isn't it?
It's not like they're selling their assets in order to purchase these things. No.
Yeah.
This is coming out of some sort of royal war chest.
So, do you think they should? Do you think it would be better than if they had proper jobs?
Like?
Well, I mean, I'm not suggesting that Andrew or William or Harry or anybody should suddenly do a 9-to-5 job as a chippy.
Prince Harry, number one, can't even do a proper job. He had his Spotify contract.
Oh, he's only done one.
He's done one.
One, just one.
Just the one.
We've done more.
Yeah,
haven't we?
and we don't have a multi-million-pound contract with Spotify.
Yes.
So not only does he have this amazing contract, which would generate him millions of pounds, he couldn't even be bothered to get out of bed to do more than one podcast.
I actually like
the lazy git.
I like Harry, and don't forget. I mean, to lose his mum at such young age, I think that's
because the Queen ordered it.
No, another down the fucking rabbit hole. No, please. To lose your mum at such a young age is a terrible thing. I think we all
knowing that another family member took her out. Are we honestly? Do we honestly believe it was?
Are you really angling to spend your holiday in the Tower?
Are you really trying to tell me that Diana? It was an accident.
Charles won't be sending you any of them lemon. What are they called?
Lemon melts.
Lemon melts. A bit of a melt. But at the end of the day, I actually think it's I know what it's like to lose a parent at a very young age. He was particularly young. That I know that's the from a mental health aspect. That's and of course to be in the public, the glare of the public. I mean, when you go back to 97, 98, it was relentless upon him, after his mum died. And I think that's pretty hideous. And it wasn't very, and that's another one we need to be talking about on the subject, the sensitivities, the way the press, the mainstream media handle things.
But there was
even this latest war, some of the headlines beggar belief. It sort of trivialises the whole thing. But anyway, that's for another day. So you've had the issue, obviously the current issue with Charles, the issue with Andrew. Do you not think that it is beyond repair?
No, because I
You never really answered the question.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, you kind of said, well, they'll stay there no matter what.
Yeah, it's status quo. It's the status quo.
Do you think, from a public perspective, that they'll zone out, and once the Queen, bless her, passes away, that it's just going to look even more messy?
If you look at it from a social media point of view, people, like you said, people who aren't interested in King Charles when he'll eventually become king, they simply will tune out. As you said, there'll be less interest in the monarchy, but the monarchy will keep on doing what it does. It's more a PR thing. You know, in terms of
So
like,
it's good for Britain PLC in terms
no,
of
I
the
don't think,
public.
I don't think so.
You know, but or is that inexorably damaged by what's taken place? You know, will the rest of the world start to take a more
What's
dim
really
view?
good, but what's really going to change? Maybe a few less tourists will come to Buckingham Palace because they don't like Charles as much, but ultimately, who cares? You know, okay, Charles and Camilla, you know, ascend the throne. What really changes, apart from maybe, you know, a few less people are interested in the monarchy? Apart from that, really, what's going to happen?
Do you think this whole time? Well,
Unless he
I agree
becomes
with you.
unless he becomes sort of maniacal, you know, and sort of tries to sort of impose himself, because he has done, Charles especially, you know, involving himself in
Can't call
politics.
Charles maniacal. I mean,
I'm
he
saying,
used to be.
hold
I
on,
think he was a member of the Labour
that's
Party
not
as
what I
a young
said.
man.
That's not what I said. I said if he were to become maniacal,
Yes.
once he ascends the throne,
Yes.
because he has had a major issue over a number of years of getting involved in politics when he was supposed to be impartial.
Yeah.
You know,
He has the right to an opinion, surely.
no, he doesn't. He doesn't have a right to an opinion because he's supposed to be impartial. Do you ever see the Queen make political statements? No, she
Well,
doesn't,
that's my point.
because she's supposed to be impartial.
She has been.
The royal family
She's
are
been
not
solid in the way she's
yeah,
dealt with her.
the royal
duties.
family are not supposed to get involved in politics at all.
Yeah.
At all.
So do you think that's damaged
They're
his?
a figurehead.
Do you think that's
it.
damaged the prospect in terms of him becoming king that he's once or twice stepped the line? And of course, notwithstanding the latest.
I think MPs will be wary about working with him because obviously they don't want him getting in the middle of politics.
Gotcha. So do you think the Queen's kind of been hanging on rather than hanging up her hat and to limit the time that Charles is there then? So
No, the Queen,
for William,
the Queen and her private office are still controlling everything.
right?
Up until the moment where she can no longer perform her duties.
Gotcha.
Because I think they know full well that
Which are
if there's any true support for the monarchy, it's because of her.
yes, I agree.
Ultimately, it's because of her.
Absolutely,
You know,
I'm with you on that 100%.
There's going to be a massive sea change once, you know, power changes hands, and then we just have to see what happens.
The argument, of course, has been that with Andrew, there's been a lot of seat change. The wrong type of seed.
I don't get
You have to think about that.
I didn't get it.
You didn't get it.
No, I got it now.
Yeah, it took you a while, didn't it?
Yeah, sorry.
You didn't strike me as somebody that could only see a joke by appointment.
It took me a minute.
So do you think that it would be better if it bypassed Charles then?
I would prefer William and Kate.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's got nothing to do with me.
No. Oh. Well, no. I mean, they won't be asking us.
No, exactly.
They won't be sending us a little email.
If we could have a referendum on it,
or tweeting us and going, "No, what do you think, Mel? It's Charles here. What do you think? Do you think I should let William have the job rather than take it myself?
keep
So
farming.
I concentrate on the lemon melts.
Yeah, keep farming
and
leave.
topping up the Aston with the Chardonnay.
Keep farming and leave it at that.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion,
He probably doesn't even want the job.
that's a load of nonsense.
Oh, okay.
That's a complete load of nonsense.
So, and it's time going back.
Maybe he's been spooning salt into the Queen's tea to make sure she goes a bit faster.
Spooning, there's another one. I think he's a bit past that. Let me go back to Andrew again. I mean, what do you make of it? Of course, once one thing comes out, then there's a whole plethora of stuff that follows behind that. I noticed one of the ones that caught my attention was the thing about the teddy bears and the fact that he has all these teddy bears on his bed.
And he goes nuts.
How many? 40?
40 or 50.
40, 50 teddy bears. I mean, you know, All these is.
I could say something, but I
He
won't.
likes a furry thing on his bed.
I could say something, but I won't.
Go on.
No, I won't.
How risque is it? It's too risque.
Yeah, can't.
Very risque. Yeah. Okay. But he yes. I mean, well, none of the bears, of course, are inflatable.
But look, if you live in that kind of rarefied environment, and essentially you get to dictate, what you want, the smallest detail, even if it's having 40 or 50 teddy bears on your bed, and if they are even slightly displaced, you throw a fit.
Yeah, but I think my question is, my question really is, what is this? I think he's about 60. What does a 60-year-old man do with having 40 or 50 teddy bears on his bed? I mean, does that say something about his that he's never really grown up? Is that part of the problem? Does it keep moving the coffee table? Is that part of his problem, you think? I mean, isn't it a bit juvenile?
It might be, but
then people having to, if he throws a hissy fit because Winnie the Pooh has somehow ended up in the place where Paddington normally sits.
It's the lifestyle to which he's accustomed to. It might sound strange to us, but if that's what he's used to, and that's what he's accustomed to, who are we to say otherwise?
Oh, I just think that's a bit weird.
Some people collect dolls. He collects teddy bears. What do you want?
I just think it's a bit weird. Well, maybe he wouldn't have got into trouble if he'd have collected dolls, especially the inflatable kind.
I don't know.
Well, you've got to be careful with them. Give them a love bite, they fart and fly out the window.
Look, it's his behaviour is fishy at best.
Yeah.
We'll never know the truth because essentially...
Only one person really knows the truth, because of course Brunel's dead, Epstein's dead, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell, and of
obviously
course the people who are the accused.
Of course the accuser. But the accuser was happy to take the money, which doesn't looks good, but it doesn't look that good either.
No, I have a real issue.
She was very, very vehement. Before to say, I'm going to take this all the way to court.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, probably under threat, she would... Yeah, I think so. I think it was
if it was under threat, she'd have been threatened long before that.
No,
I have an issue.
I think it was one of those, I hope you don't like tunnels kind of conversations. Obviously Diana died in a tunnel, right?
Oh,
so I think it's one of those. I think it's like, hey, by the way, watch out, keep your mouth shut, take your money, be quiet, and you'll be fine. I think it was more a conversation like that because, like I said,
you don't know that.
I don't conjecture.
That's
Absolutely,
mate.
It's an opinion.
Yes,
it's an opinion,
well, yes,
but it's a valid one too because we've seen it happen before. Strange things happen to people that don't do what they're told. People disappear, people die. It happens a lot, to the point where it's a bit more than a coincidence. All I'm saying is that previously, she was very keen to go down the legal route to take him to court and to make him pay, allegedly, for what he had done.
Yes, but when somebody's waving a check at 10 or 12
1 month later,
although she gave it, went to a charitable institution, I understand, didn't it?
I don't know.
Yes, it did.
I doubt it.
It did.
I doubt it.
I would have thought that would have had to have been authenticated, so I can't see how they would have, unless she's the managing director of the charity and she's on a 7-figure salary.
Well, you say that.
Yeah.
Who was the there was the old man that walked... Captain Tom. And then they created the charitable foundation.
And then they gave him... Didn't they make him Major Tom?
But the whole point...
Or am I getting mixed up with David Bowie?
It doesn't matter. It's Tom. Whoever it is. The guy who walked for COVID, whoever it was.
Yes,
they created a charitable foundation.
Yes,
I don't know
a bit of a
I don't know how many millions went into it. 90% the funds that went in went to paying the directors.
That's dreadful.
I
But
mean,
you know,
120,000 here, 140,000 there.
well, you know, this is
So none of the money that was supposed to be going to good causes went to where they were supposed to go.
This is an issue with most charities. Charities become so marketised, you know, with the advertising, and you know, this is the same with just about every charity, unfortunately,
But
or
you
a
have
lot
to-
of them.
You have to have a corporate board.
Yeah.
You have to have. You
Yes.
have to have consultants.
Oh.
And apparently that costs hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, the problem is, of course, the with any charity, a lot of these big charities, the actual money that gets to the
intended
people,
purpose,
for the intended purpose, is paltry compared to
the administration.
to all the rest. Yes, appalling.
That's one of the
appalling.
greatest.
So if you think
Shames, yeah.
if you're thinking of giving to the charity of distressed donkeys or
The
otherwise,
blind don't.
be aware the donkeys aren't getting it. The donkeys are not seeing one carrot out.
Isn't that the biggest charity in the world?
Do you know somebody said that to me?
That's what I heard. Because obviously, if you see like a photograph of a donkey, you feel bad for it and you give it like $10. But apparently, it's the biggest charity in the world.
I have to say, you know, I'm an animal lover, but I can't get worked up from in the scheme of problems that we have in the world over over donkeys.
Maybe we should change our image.
What?
If we change our title image to a donkey, we might get more subscribers.
What do you mean, the donkey report?
No, we'll keep it the round report, but we'll have a picture of a donkey next to it. Because we might get sympathy, we might get more subscribers that way.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, you could, well, if you want really want to get replace me with the donkey, you might get more sense out of the donkey than they. Don't answer that.
Maybe we can get like those latex donkey heads, and we can get those thingies.
Right. Okay. Or rather, like pantomime.
Yeah.
Will you be the front end, or will you be the back end? Yeah, because in pantomime, we're front.
Well, next question.
We've digressed to the extreme, mate. So you're keeping an eye on the time, are you?
Yeah, we've got
My bladder tells me we must be nearing that. But I suppose in the round, then, what we're saying is it's a bloody mess, and that it's going to take a long time, I think, once the Queen passes away, and might never be the case that the Institute of the Royal Family will be looked on so favourably again, or at least for a few decades.
Prince Andrew will definitely be isolated from this point on.
I think
he's going.
Do you think he should still be the Duke of York, by the way, instead of the Duke of Pork?
No, well,
thank you to Nicholas who sowed the seed for that.
So no, I honestly believe that all of his titles should be removed, considering.
Yes.
But he will disappear into anonymity soon enough.
Yeah.
We won't hear.
It's not an island.
We won't.
In the Pacific, is it?
It might be. It might be. Who was the king that abdicated and ended up in the Caribbean island?
Oh, I don't know.
For the rest of his days.
I don't know.
There's one. I can't remember what his name was.
No, I just thought that. What was the?
Oh, it was a prince. Sorry, it was a prince that. No, it was. Yeah, a king abdicated. A British king abdicated.
What in the last century, 2 centuries? Well, the only one that abdicated was King Edward VIII, of course, but he went to France with Mrs. Simpson.
No, he went to a Caribbean island.
Well, he probably had a Caribbean island.
Well, he lived there for a while at least. But anyway, Andrew, we won't be hearing his name for a long, long time.
Yes, Edward you hear nothing of anyway. Mind you, he's a bit of a soppy git, isn't he?
Well, no, but he probably does what he's supposed to do. You know, he does his job. Well, whatever. Okay, but he does his job. He does what he's meant to do. He's out of the limelight, but he keeps the institution going. Like Princess Margaret.
Margaret.
Princess Margaret.
Didn't know how to transfer.
Princess Margaret.
Princess
she's
Margaret.
One.
Well, she's dead now, bless her. What? Princess Margaret's dead. She was the one that got into in that big furore over the Caribbean island being tied up with a gangster.
Who am I talking about?
You're talking about Princess Anne.
Princess Anne.
Her of the horses.
Yeah.
know.
But she's another one. You don't really hear about her much.
No,
but she
she's
just
kind of
does
behaved herself, hasn't she? And
Right.
done her thing. Won a few medals.
But isn't that
for
essentially
Birthday
what the
All-Stars
monarchy
and
should
stuff.
be?
Yes.
They do their duty, but they're not in the limelight too much.
Yeah.
Which
Yes,
is why
but-
Harry and Meghan had to go, because they were causing so many issues for the institution.
I don't think so. I just think he was fed up with it. Probably just took the view that everybody else has taken. It's like, my God, my family are so dysfunctional and such a mess. I'm off. And who can blame him? I mean, put some distance between them.
To marry a narcissist.
No, look, they'll give her a break. Half the world is a narcissist. I mean, look at them. You can't look.
Yeah,
You
but
tell me
she's a
you
special
can't
one.
look at the. You can't look at the TV these days without seeing narcissism everywhere. Lip filler and Botox. It's whether it's politicians, whether it's ordinary people. You can't flick on a reality program. It's all flaming lip filler and Botox. I mean, crikey, isn't social media the whole? We can't slag off social media. We're on social media. Next week, I'm going to do some lip filler, perhaps some Botox, and make sort of return my face to how it looked when I was 20, which is probably asking a bit much, really. I don't think there's enough lip filler in Britain to do that. And Botox. But yeah, I mean, I don't blame for that. I mean, obviously she comes from that background because she was doing TV and Hollywood and what have you, albeit not as a major stuff. But I don't blame them. I don't blame them for buggering off. I think, quite frankly, I would have too in their shoes.
I think she's ruined his life.
Well, I think he'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
And I'm sure he loves her very much, and that will the test. The only time will be the test on that, and I don't think we're in a position to be the adjudicators to it.
Okay, yeah.
But I certainly, yeah. Well, lots to think about. I thought, no, we're coming to the end, so I don't think we probably drew any conclusion except what an almighty mess it all is. We do feel for you, Your Majesty. We hope you've recovered, of course, as I said at the beginning. And if you fancy popping us an email or doing a Zoom call, well, we'll be most welcome, of course. Don't look at me that way. I haven't completely lost it. But I thought, obviously, to the quote of the day. The quote of the day obviously does relate back to what is taking place in Ukraine. And it's actually Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Relating to war. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. There you go. That's my message for today.
Thank
On
you
that
for
note.
watching, everybody.
Yeah, have a great day.